Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Sandra Sheffer, host of Race and the Races. Host of Race and the Races. So yes, we're going live today. The show is about Broward Estates and some of the things that's going on. There was a community meeting. That took place on Monday night that I was able to go to because it's talking about some of the things some of the decisions that the school board is making about the schools. So I wanted to comment on that. And my hair is a little wild today, y'all. I'm so sorry about that. My hair is a little wild today. It's okay. But anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about Broward Estates. We're going to talk a little bit about all of this politicking that's going on. Apparently, last night, there was some state of the union, state of the something, a conversation that was taking place, and I heard some of the Dems had to walk out. They were snatching people's signs, putting people out, and I heard it was nothing more than a whole bunch of lies that was being told left, right, front, and center. And Mr. Man is incapable of telling the truth. And that's kind of what a lot of folks witnessed last night. Was just a whole bunch of untruths were being told. And part of the reason why he cannot tell the truth is because the truth ain't good, right? The truth is not good. There's nothing about what he's done. I mean, maybe you'll find some people that may agree with some of the things that he's done. That's okay, but there's nothing that he's done of any that's supposed to be of significance that actually benefited the community. So all the things the man has been doing for the last, we're in week 7 now. We're in week 7. The last 7 weeks have been things that are detrimental to the people, is detrimental to the country, and is detrimental to the future of the United States. And if those folks who supported him have not seen that, and they are not sounding the alarm to the elected officials that they set to go and represent them in Washington, D.C., and tell them to go ahead and pump the brakes on all of the crazy that's going on, then I don't know where this, I have an idea where this will lead, but it's not going to lead us into a very good place. And we definitely need to figure out ways that we can put pressure on the elected officials, for one, and also figure out a way to put pressure on the corporations that are supporting the things that he's doing. Because part of the reason why he was able to even be back in office was because he got support of a lot of, billionaires, millionaires, all these folks. And the reality of it is that they supported him because, the tax breaks that he gave them the last time that he was in office are set to expire, and they want to get them again, and they want to try to find a way to make them permanent. But the reality is the country cannot afford the tax breaks. The numbers that I'm hearing is that they're looking, and mind you, these are people that already got billions of dollars. They got multi-millions of dollars, not like 2 million. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. They got billions of dollars. And for whatever reason, that's enough. We all know greed is a thing, right? And apparently greed is the thing that they're willing to destroy the country for, so they can just stay greedy, be greedy, do greedy stuff, do what greedy people do. So the number that I heard of what the tax break that they're looking for is upwards of $4.5 trillion. Okay, $4.5 trillion is what these folks are trying to get breaks. And mind you, when they get this break, there's money that they're supposed to pay that they're not going to pay. So imagine this, right? All the rest of us, or folks who have to pay taxes. People do what they can, and even if at the end of the year, you don't pay any additional taxes, but whatever salary you get, they take their money up front. They take their Social Security up front. They take the taxes up front. They take all the Medicaid, Medicare stuff up front. They take all that money up front from you before they even pay you out, right? And so people are making all this investment into the country, and then folks who don't need that, who don't need to take any more from people, right? Because they're taking enough. Folks who don't need to take any more are finding ways to take more at the expense of government workers. I saw something that I think he's going to try to fire 80,000 folks that work for Veteran Affairs. I mean, that's crazy talk, right? I mean, and I believe they've attacked almost 20% of the federal workforce already. And if they haven't done that, that's the goal. Now, mind you, who are they going to replace these people with? When you lose all that institutional knowledge, what are you going to do? So just all of it is insane. And then, so yesterday, I think the tariffs with Canada and Mexico started yesterday. My understanding is that the tariff started yesterday. And Canada was like, this what we doing? Okay. So they're like, we're going to take all the American alcoholic beverages off the shelves, which from credible sources I know that they have already done that. They've already taken the alcoholic beverages off the shelves in Canada. So that's not there. So some of his rich friends about to fill it. And maybe since it's going to impact them directly, they may get involved and try to do something for everybody else. But we've come to see that people, particularly in the United States, don't have no problem if something is going to hurt somebody else, as long as it don't hurt them. But they're learning quick, fast, and in a hurry that the decisions that are being made is hurting everybody, right? It's hurting everybody. And then so now they want to take a stand. And so maybe these alcohol companies that gave this man all kind of money and license to do the things that he's doing, now that their pockets are about to be impacted, maybe they'll get involved and kind of get him to recognize that the decisions that are being made to people, like human beings, right, that are being affected in that way, right? And then the other thing that a lot of us learned yesterday too in this whole tariff stuff is that there are parts of the state of Michigan and parts of the state of New York that actually get their electricity from Canada, right? So Canada is like, oh, this what we doing? So we're gonna turn the lights off, right? Listen, I don't really want nobody to get hurt or anything like that. But I kind of do want Canada to just go ahead and turn the lights off, because again, many of the people who are probably going to get affected, because the state of Michigan went red, right? They're a battleground state. They could have made a different decision. And some people, for whatever reason, forgot what this man did between 2017 and 2021, up until the day he left office, and they just forgot all that. And they forgot all about the things that happened in between, the 34 felony convictions, the cases in 4 different states, the inability to to have any businesses in the state of New York, the civil lawsuits that was in the hundreds of millions of dollars. They forgot all these things, right? They forgot all these things and decided to find a way to put this man back in office. And so now, because again, they thought they were safe, and now they realize they're not safe. And they're like, oh Lord, right? So I'm saying that to say this: Canada, turn the lights off. Go ahead, turn the lights off, right? Because apparently the United States not even the entire United States, these few folks that are making these decisions that's affecting millions and millions of people, they think that they're above everything, right? And they could just do whatever they want without no consequence. And I'm sorry for all the folks who may lose their food in their refrigerator because the power gonna be off. Because I suspect the country will have a way to get their power turned right back on if Canada does that. I hope that's true. I really hope they got a contingency plan if Canada actually decides to do this. But I think this is one of the things that people are going to have to take a tough stance against this administration, because the things that they're doing are inhumane. It's clear and apparent that he does not care about people, and while I was thinking about this, I was thinking how like the American language has the ability to say things in a way to kind of disassociate it from the fact that somebody's being impacted, right? When they refer to foreign nationals like as immigrants and migrants, you don't think about that's a person that they're giving this title to. They're calling the person a migrant or immigrant, but that's a person that has a family, that's being affected. But, if we can just refer to them as something else besides human, then that seems to like soften the blow and don't make people feel as bad that they're doing something that's hurting that person, their family, and possibly future generations to come. So we need to call it what it is, right? No, these are people that are being impacted by these decisions, right? And I think the way that we're going to be able to try to mediate a lot of what's happening is that people are going to have to take tough stances, and people are going to have to make tough decisions and when I say people, that means all of us, but particularly those that are in power and that are in positions to straight up have like an immediate impact, because we got to stop the bleeding. We need to find a way to put a tourniquet on this and try to stop the bleeding, because this is getting more and more and more insane on a daily basis. Okay, so we need to start doing this. So those who has the power, who have the influence, who have the ability, they're going to have to take some steps, and the rest of us, we're going to do the things that we can do, right? Last Friday on the 28th, it was like don't spend no money day, and I managed to do that, and it was actually a good feeling that I did not spend any money on that day. And I believe these businesses, they don't want to tell us how bad it is or how it affected them, but I know that it affected them, right, in some way, because at the end of the day, the United States is a country that they need to have. It's so based on consumerism that they have to find a reason to get people to spend money every day, every month, in order for them to survive. Because if we decided we're not spending any money anymore, it's gonna affect the country. And again, we don't want it to fold, but at the same time, we have to make a tough stand and say this is not okay, because you cannot, be abusing people. Some folks like to use the word play in our faces, but they're playing in our faces, yes. But this is abusive right now. This is absolutely abusive, and abusers should not be rewarded, no matter who it is that they are, right? And sometimes you gotta suffer or you gotta have a hard time just in order for you to deal with your abuser in a way. And this is absolutely what we need to do, because this is it's absolutely out of control what's happening, right? And I did not, and I ain't gonna lie, I did not watch the State of the Union address because I knew it was gonna be nothing but lies, and apparently that's exactly what it is, right? And the fact that we already know that he was a liar and he lies anyway. For the State of the Union, he couldn't do anything but lie, because none of the truths that he can tell are good or positive or anything. There's nothing no truths that he could have talked about since he took office on January 20th that would have been helpful to him, beneficial to anybody, or would have got him any more people on his side. So he had to go up there and straight up lie, because the truth is terrible. He knows it is. It hurts. Clearly he doesn't care, but he could not go there and tell any truth. So all it was going to be was nothing but a bag of lies. And apparently that's exactly what it was, right? And so here we are, right? So again, we don't complain without trying to offer solutions and tell people what it is that they can do in order for us, because we all have some responsibility. I'm taking on this as my responsibility to try to get as much information out there to encourage folks, but I'm also doing work on in the background too. But we all got to do something. Now, I'm a person of a big age. I'm like grown and grown and grown all day. So there's really not much I need. I don't need to buy no more clothes. I don't need to buy no more shoes. I don't need another purse. I don't need none of that, right? So I don't have to shop. Like, I have kids that are still growing, so they probably every now and then I might have to go buy them something. But for the most part, unless they absolutely need it, we not getting it, period. Because part of what we have to do is to tell these people that they didn't get rich by themselves, and they don't stay rich by themselves, because they need employees. They need people to work for them in order for them to be rich. Okay. So they always act like, and when I say they, I mean a lot of these major corporations, they act like they're doing workers a favor because you're employed. They're not doing you no favor. You working for every dollar that you make for them, right? And they can't make none of the dollars they have without you doing something for them or contributing in some sort of way. That's on the worker side. And on the consumer side, again, they act like they don't need you either. They absolutely do. They absolutely do need your money, right? They absolutely do need your money. And you shouldn't be spending money in places where people don't respect you. They don't care nothing about you. And they're willing to let this administration do things like cut funding to the health organization, cut funding for research, like cancer research, cut Medicaid, Medicare funding for people to get like health insurance, life insurance. They're willing to do all of those things. You want to support a guy that's willing to do all of those things, but you want me to come in your store and spend money on stuff that I probably really don't need. So now the things that we gonna need is you're gonna still have to go get some groceries. But let me tell you, that's about to get hard real soon too, right? So that's one of the things that you got to go to the grocery store because you got to find a way to eat. But that's about to get real hard too, because they keep referring to people as migrants, but these are people, and these are folks that were working in the agricultural space, and those industries are already being impacted by agriculture because a lot of the folks that are leaving, they're leaving. And they know, and part of it is like, yes, you may want to get American workers, but American workers are going to charge you more because you got to give them benefits, this, that, and the third, right? And I'm not saying that people, the migrants, workers, people who refer to as migrant workers, should not have been entitled to those things too. However, oftentimes they come from communities where farming is what it is that they do, right? And if they are supporting relatives that are outside of the country, the cost of supporting relatives outside of the country is not equal to what it costs us to live in the United States, right? And I make that point to all, and I'm also going to say this: what we pay to live here, we shouldn't have to pay that much to live here. That's all I'm saying. Like, people are paying top dollars to live in the United States, and I'm not saying the country wasn't great at some point, but particularly right now, I'm paying way too much money to try to be living here and dealing with all this level of disrespect. But besides that point, the cost of what we spend to live here, it does not need to be that expensive. This is arbitrary. These people are picking up these numbers and they know they can make us pay it because we want to be here, and that's why they do it. But it should not cost that much to live anywhere, right? So that as an aside. So I was originally talking about, at least in this part of the conversation, about how it's going to become more and more difficult for you to get stuff in the grocery store. Listen, I haven't been able to buy egg. Well, I ain't going to buy them because it costs too much, right? I don't want to spend that much money. But even, I usually order stuff from Costco because that's one of the companies that they said we can continue to support. I can't even get no eggs delivered because they don't have none, right? And when you do find them, you're paying $30, $40, $50 for a dozen eggs that used to cost $12. Like not a dozen, like 5 dozen eggs that used to be like $12, but now they're upwards of $30. And mind you, those folks who voted for him said they did it because the price of eggs was too expensive. They cost more now, I assure you, right? The other thing people were talking about was like, gasoline. Now, a friend of mine's, because I didn't have to get gas today. I got gas a couple of days ago. He said just from yesterday when they imposed the tariffs to today, the gas is 25 cents more per gallon than it was today, right? Let me tell you, that is just corporate greed, right? Because there ain't nothing that happened that quick that they need to already start charging people 25 cents per gallon on gas, right? So again, we're being abused, like seriously abused. I'm financially taken advantage of, and this is not sustainable for even if you're working 1, 2, 3 jobs doing it, or even and you're in a salary range that's respectable. This is really getting to the point where it's unsustainable. So again, one of the solutions is buy some seeds. People are turning their garages into because apparently you can grow stuff inside the house now because they got all of these different ways in which you can grow stuff. Go ahead and get some seeds, man, and start planting like some tomatoes or some lettuce or some greens or some berries or something. So at least you can have something to eat, right? So you can have something to eat because this stuff is about to get ridiculous, right? And then, we were already dealing with the whole GMOs, but that's a conversation for another day with some other people who are more brilliant in that particular space. But these are things that we truly gonna need to start considering. You're gonna have to try to figure out where you're gonna get some of your stuff from, right? You can grow sprouts, you know what I'm saying? Again, get you some containers, put some sand in that mug, start growing some seeds, and then seasonal, you will have something to eat every couple months. Because going into this grocery store about to get super stupid, right? It's going to get super stupid because it's going to be expensive, and there are going to be many things that you're just not going to be able to find. So again, we don't complain without trying to find a solution. So I'm telling y'all, go get some seeds and start planting some stuff. Figure out how you can convert part of that garage into an indoor garden. And if those of you who are fortunate enough to have a backyard, go ahead and see what you can plant back there. I know a lot of places don't let you plant stuff in the front because they're going to see it. But if you're fortunate enough to have a backyard, you might need to drop some things in the ground and see what you could do because this is about to be rough, right? This is about to be rough. So that's on that point. Canada, as much as I don't want them people to ruin all the food that's in their refrigerator right now, I I think you might need to turn the lights off, at least for a few hours, to let them know that it's something that you really could do. Because I don't think this man that's occupying the Oval Office really understand and know that you truly can turn the lights off in both the state of New York and the state of Michigan. Okay, so I mean, they may need to take a hit and take one for the team. They may need to take one for the team so we can get some relief, because this is week 7, y'all. This bad, and this is very, very rough. Okay, so State of the Union full of lies. There's still some things we can do. I need to make a correction from the show last week, right? And it's still, I had the seat numbers right. I just had the area for one of the seats wrong, right? So in Florida, we do have an opportunity. We do have an opportunity to send 2 Democrats to the U.S. House of Representatives, and we're going to get the numbers close. Now, mind you, things just change every day, right? So when we were having this conversation last week, if we were able to get those 2 electeds in Florida, we would have been able to take advantage of the House, right? And Hakeem Jeffries could have been the next Speaker of the House. Unfortunately, Democratic rep out of the state of Texas, who took over Shirley Jackson Lee's seat, he died yesterday. I think he either died last night or this morning after the State of the Union address. So now there's a rep seat, I think it's 18 out of the state of Texas, that's open. And the problem with that is that the governor has to make a decision about setting a special election for that seat to get filled. And we know the governor of Texas, that Governor Abbott, ain't too many good things to say about him. So I don't think he's going to be in no rush to set that election, because that's a heavily Democratic area, and he ain't gonna be in no rush. But maybe he'll find some space in his heart to go ahead and set it soon, and they'll go ahead and do that. Now I have to tell you, I'm gonna go back to Florida with my correction. So seat 1 is in the Pensacola, Northern Florida area, and is Gaye Valamont is a woman that's running for that seat. Please, if y'all know anybody in that Pensacola Panhandle area, tell them to go vote for this lady. And the Republicans who may not want to, because they're like, I'm Republican true and true, tell them about the last 7 weeks and how they know. And I'm sure they know somebody that has been impacted. I'm sure they know somebody who has been impacted by the decision that's been made in the last 7 weeks, and tell them, let's go ahead and turn a page, make some changes, help your fellow folks out, help yourself, help your mom, help your sister, help your cousin, help yourself, and send her to the U.S. House in D.C. Now the seat 6 that I was talking about, and I was saying that was on the west coast of Florida, that's actually on the east coast of Florida, and it includes Daytona, Volusia County, and all of those, right? And Cookman is in Daytona. So all these wildcats, y'all need to call your kids, your friends, whoever you knew from school, and tell them that they need to go and vote on April 1st. Now, I didn't have the day to register to vote for that election was March the 3rd, which was Monday. And so I hope all of these folks are registered to vote, because I did tell people, make sure you register to vote. So you can't, if you weren't registered already, you can't register now. That's another complaint that, folks got about Florida, can't register now. But if you know people who are registered in that Daytona area, and who went to Cookman Wildcats, all of your kids, whoever, if they're living there, they can actually vote on that day. So tell your friends. So that area is not on the west coast of Florida. It's on the east coast of Florida, and it includes Volusia County, Daytona Beach, Florida, and a couple of places on the east coast. So it's actually on the east coast of Florida, not the west coast. But that election is coming up. It's on April the 1st. So we have a chance to send 2 Democrats from seat 1, U.S. Rep House seat 1, U.S. Rep House seat 6 to D.C., and that will make a big difference. And then again, we had the unfortunate loss of the gentleman out of the state of Texas, and hopefully they'll set that election, and we'll get the numbers closer. All right. So, and I think it's still important to send them, because I think some of these Republicans, if we can get their constituents to complain, we can get these corporations that wants to stop the bleeding to be like, y'all gonna have to give these people a little bit of relief. We may be able to get them to vote on the right side of history instead of the wrong side of history. Okay. So Florida House seat, Florida U.S. Rep seat 1, Florida Rep U.S. House seat 6. They're open northern Florida, close to Alabama, and on the East Coast, including the Daytona, Volusia County. Tell those folks, if you know anybody in that area, to go and vote in that election. Is on April the 1st. And I'm gonna tell you why our governor set that election so quickly, because those people left in January, right? Is because they're very Republican areas. But one of the things to know about special elections, midterm elections, is the voter turnout is significantly lower than during a presidential election. So during a presidential election, a person may need anywhere from like 250 to like 400,000 votes to win those seats. During a special election or midterm, you only need anywhere from like 45,000 to 75,000 votes. That's significant. That's different. That's actually doable, because you can get all the Dems, you can get some of the MPAs, and you can get Republicans who know what life has been like in the last 7 weeks to just go ahead and be like, you know what, we can't do this, and we really can't, because this is not doable. It's crazy, y'all. So let's see what we can do about seat 1 and seat 6. If you know people in the area, please tell them, encourage them. That's, Pensacola, Northern Florida, Fort Walton Beach, that area. Tell them to go and vote in those seats. Daytona, all them cooking people, go tell them people to vote. Take kids, whoever you sit over there, whoever's still there, all the community people you knew from that time, go ahead and see if they can encourage folks to vote, and you could support those campaigns in some sort of way. Give them your time if you don't have no money, right? Okay. All right, so that was on election stuff. This ain't even what the episode was called. I was really supposed to talk about Broward Estates. And I'm going to have me talking a little bit about the Broward County School Board, them peoples, Lord, them peoples, okay? I spared them for a little while, but I went to a community meeting on Monday, and I can't spare them right now. So I'm going to have to say some things. I'm going to get in trouble for it, but who cares at this point, right? Because they're doing the wrong thing. They're doing the wrong thing all day. So in the last couple of days, you know how we know politics is a blood sport, right? And we always say that politics is a dirty game. Now, just like I told you, like the English language has the ability to have you call something without acknowledging that what you're talking about as a person. When they talk about politics is dirty, they're taking away the fact that it's the people that's involved in politics are dirty. It's the people, right? So the politics by itself, it don't gotta be, but it's the people that are involved that are just doing some real dirty things, and we need to call it that, right? So stop talking about politics is dirty. No, it's the people that are dirty, right? It's this administration that ain't politics. That's them. That's dirty. It's the Republican Senate that's allowing a lot of stuff to happen. It's not politics. It's them that's dirty. That's allowing all these things to happen. This House of Representatives that's making decisions, talking about cut Medicaid, Medicare, and all that. That's them that's dirty, right? Now, mind you, we have I think it's 18 folks from Florida, some crazy number electeds from Florida that voted to cut Medicaid and Medicare. Now, mind you, in Florida, and now you can't see them nowhere. They're supposed to be having town halls, talking to their constituents, explaining to people why they made that decision. They all hide it. So it's not the politics that dirty, it's them people. Those people who folks elected to send to do their work ain't doing their work, and not, and they want to hide behind that word that is the politics. No, it's them. It's them. It's other people that are making these decisions that's affecting your life in a negative way, and we got to stop putting people in positions to affect your life in a negative way and not do the job that you sent them to do, right? So these are all things that we need to change. Some of it we could change now. Let's do that. Some of them we have to wait until 26. Get ready now so we could change all of that in 26, because this brutal, y'all. This is real brutal, and this is real crazy. Back to Broward Estates. So the Broward County School Board, some of the members who were there, Debbie Hickson was there, Jeff Holness was there, the superintendent of school, Hepburn was there. I believe there was and there were 2 other officials that were at the table saying that they want to hear what the community is gonna say right? Because first I think, well, so there's a couple things. They pretty much went there with a PowerPoint presentation to sell the idea that they're going to close this school down, repurpose it and turn it into some early childhood facility or whatever, and then go send them kids to Martin Luther King and, until they do whatever they're going to do. Didn't sound like they were ever going to send them back, but they just want to go shut the whole thing down, turn it into an early learning center. But part of the problem with that school, as I understand it, is that the buildings are messed up. Like they got mold, they got all kind of crazy stuff. So now you want to go send babies into the moldy buildings, right? Because if the buildings can operate or fix or whatever, then leave the kids who's already there in that place and then figure out how to accommodate both of those things instead of sending kids to a whole nother school outside of their area, right? And the reason why I'm like, it's the people in politics that are dirty, not the politics. Because one of the concerns that a woman in that room had talked about was that she had two of her relatives that got kids that got hit by a car going to this Martin Luther King school. Because apparently you got to cross a busy street they would have to cross a busy street to get to that school. And instead of, the superintendent, Debbie Hickson, Jeff Holness, or whatever, showing compassion for this person telling such a tragic story, they was like, oh, well, we understand that. We'll try to get transportation, this, that, or whatever. And we all know the school ain't got no money for transportation. They could tell you whatever it is that they want, and they ain't got to go do it, right? And they've been lying to these people forever. They have no trust. Folks have no trust with any of the things that they're saying, but they're going to come here and be like, no, just trust us. We're going to make sure y'all got to bust them kids to get to school. Them people don't believe you, and I don't believe you're going to do it, right? And so, and then the other thing that the superintendent was like, oh, well, we want y'all to talk about the community partners that you were going to bring in or whatever. This is what this time was allocated for. Because he basically said, like, y'all can come here and say all y'all want. You could be screaming from the chandelier up and down that you don't want this school to close or you don't want it to get repurposed, but that's what's going to happen. But if you want to waste your time telling us about stuff that we ain't about to listen to, that's your business. And that's pretty much what he said to them. And he was like, I know you. And then he goes and say, oh, I know you guys are like, I know how you feel about this, but I have to think about 5 years in the future, and this is what we're doing. Really? You want them people to believe that y'all think about their future when y'all ain't nothing, none of y'all ever did show that y'all cared about them? Because if you cared about them, the school wouldn't be in the state that it was in. It would not be in the state that it was in, right? So now you haven't done anything to build any trust with this community, right? You've done nothing for them to believe a word that's coming out of your mouth, right? You've done nothing for them to believe that any decision that you would make would be in the best interest of them. But then now you want them to believe that you're planning for their future for the next 5 years. Ain't nobody gonna believe that. Y'all out here, not caring about Black people. Because I'm telling you, I live out west. Ain't nowhere in the world they would have came to no meeting with no parents and talked to anybody the way they spoke to those folks at that meeting. The fact that they were not listening. When I tell you they were not listening, I sat there. I'm not from that community, but I wanted to just be there, just see what was going on here. And I'm telling you, now they were not listening to nothing them people had to say. They're basically like, we gonna do this, and then whatever your kids get hit by a car going to that, to the next school, that's their business. If they can't walk the half a mile to get there, you can't go drop them off. That's your business. Because they talking about this all the transportation stuff, but they were like, we're gonna kind of sort of try to see what we can consider and listen to. So it was a whole bunch of double talk. They're not gonna do nothing. And again, remember, we ain't gonna complain without giving solutions. So one of the things that I've been told that the parents there can do is try to turn the school into a charter school. So listen, I got a kid in charter and I got a kid in public. I do what's best for my children. One of them better that day in charter, the other one better that day in public. So I don't got, for me, it don't matter. But if these folks want to keep their school, one of the things that they can try to do is get half of their parents to be on board to convert that school into a charter school and figure out what it is they need to do about that. If they want to preserve that address and that building and see if they can get somebody to invest in that. Now, I know that there's some downsides and some bad things about that decision too. However, if your concern is that you don't want your kids to leave the neighborhood, leave that community, go across some dangerous street to get to another school, then you need to figure out some sort of way. And the public school system can't stop you from doing it. You get somebody in that's willing to do that investment. There's some steps that you got to take. Reach out to somebody that can give you that information. slide into my DMs and I'll find somebody who can give you that information and I'll let you know. And that's something that you should consider, and at least tell them that that's something that you want to do, because your city pays so much money to the school board, right? For them to go and pay all these people all this money to, that have all these degrees, and they're still not making decisions that's in the best interest of children. Because that's the other thing I heard, right? They're going to figure out how some cities going to make some money, some other community, because they're like, oh, it's going to be free to the kids, but it ain't going to be, it's not free. It ain't free. Because the school got to pay them people that's going to come in there and put all of these services in there, or they finna get grant money from somebody. They're going to get paid some kind of way, because they're not finna just go be all altruistic and then go in there and not get paid or make money from what it is that they're doing. So they out here telling you it's free, but it ain't, because y'all paying tax money. My city, from what I understand, we give upwards like 30 or 35% of our tax base go to the Broward County School Board. Like, in most cities are like that. Like, come on, ain't nothing going to be free. They're going to be taking your money, and they disrespecting you, because everybody else get what they need, but it's somehow this school can't get nothing. Mind you, they were talking about some smart bond money where it was anywhere from $6 to $7 million that was allocated for improvements to that school. None of it was spent. They didn't do it. So now you're trying to convince people that you care about these kids and that they should trust you, that you got a 5-year plan that's going to be in the best interest of that community. Go sell that to somebody else. The people in the room wasn't buying it, and they shouldn't, because you guys, again, don't care about Black people. And I'm going to say it like that because that's really what it is, right? Don't care about Black people, because, again, you wouldn't come out to some of these neighborhoods and have that same conversation and dismiss all of what was being said in that room. And this whole idea that what's best for the people that's there. What? You don't live their life. You understand what I'm saying? They telling you what they want. They telling you what they need, and you just ignoring it. And that is not okay. That was not okay. And it wasn't even like, they weren't even trying to pretend at that point to be listening or caring about anything. It was straight up disrespectful. Shame on you, Jeff Holness. Shame on you, Debbie Hickson. Shame on you, Superintendent. I expected a lot more from you. You know what I mean? I know you well enough to kind of know what to expect, but I really, truly, truly, truly expected a lot more from you, right? And again, I've spoken to several different people, and some people are like, yes, tear it down because there's no way to fix it. It's just that bad. I've heard that story too. But the thing is, but the point that I want to make about all of this is that those individuals have not established enough trust with the community for them to believe that whatever it is that they decide to do is going to truly benefit them with this 5-year long-term, long-range plan that they're talking about. They don't have that relationship with that community for the folks to believe them. And if they would just halfway listen, they may be able to build that. There's a real long comment in the chat that I can't read, so some of y'all can go ahead and read it, and I will read it after the show. And if it's something that I need to speak on, I will speak on it when I come back next week to talk about that. But this whole thing with Broward Estates, y'all should do better. Superintendent Debbie Hickson, Jeff Holness, y'all should do better. Y'all should absolutely do better and truly listen to what it is that what it is that their community want. And I believe the advisory person for, I think it's the task force, said that the superintendent never came into one of their meetings. And talking about advisory boards, and I got like 2 more minutes and I'm going to cut the live because I really try to keep it at about 30 minutes. They're trying to dismantle the advisory boards. You know why they want to do that? Because they don't want to hear nothing y'all got to say. That's why they want to do that. Mind you, all big institutions have people who are good at something, pros at something, to advise the leader about what it is that they should do, because there's no way the leader can know about all of these different things. You can't be a specialist at everything. So you need people to give you advice on what it is you should do and take it into consideration. And so now you are like, nah, we don't want to hear nothing. You don't want to hear nothing. Really? Okay. Okay, y'all. So people, this is what I'm going to say. Pay attention to what it is that they're doing. Now, again, and the wild thing to me, right, is 5 of these folks just got elected 6 months ago, and they're already flipping the script, because right before the election, they wouldn't have had no meeting like this, right? They wouldn't have had no meeting like this, because if they did, they knew that they would not have got reelected if people knew that this is the position that they were going to take. Now, they did have these community meetings where they had this presentation that they pretty much told you all this stuff and sold you all these dreams and all of whatever it was. But they wouldn't have that meeting that they had on Monday. They wouldn't have had that meeting for the elections. Now they don't. And I understand people make decisions. You make the best decision at the time with the information that you had. So I ain't gonna be mad at you. But what I'm saying now, don't let nobody that's running in 26 come and tell you nothing that's inconsistent with what their behavior has been for the last 4 years. Okay. So again, do better, Superintendent. Do better, Debbie Hickson. Do better, Jeff Holness. Listen to what it is that the community wants and try to figure out a way that you really can take in some of what they're doing into consideration, because y'all not listening to none of it. You be like, we don't want to hear none of that. None of it. We're going to do what we want, and y'all going to have to live with it. And that's not what people who were voted in by the people sit to represent their interests. That ain't what you're supposed to do. That ain't what you're supposed to do. You can't always act like you know what's best for everybody. That ain't it. Them people telling you what they need. They tell you what you want. You don't have no trust with them for them to believe that you about to do nothing for them that's going to benefit them in the future. So you need to listen to what they said and find some sort of way to incorporate what it is that they're saying that they need into this plan that you're trying to say is in their best interest. And don't continue to traumatize them if they done told you they done had relatives that done got hit by cars trying to get to this other school that you're trying to send their children to. Okay. You have to take that into consideration, and the fact that you weren't and you didn't, again, shame on y'all. All right. Solution: try to make this thing into a charter school. Figure something out. Get your elected official. Be like, you know what? Maybe you don't want to be part of Broward County Public Schools no more, and you want to create your own school district. I think in Texas they do that. Like there's a Houston Independent School District that's in Texas. Then make it Lauderdale Lakes, whatever the area is called. Make y'all stuff an independent school district. Don't put up with it. Don't put up with it, and don't continue to make these people think that you have no power when you're actually the one with all the power. Okay, you have it. So that's it. That's my rant. That was my talk. I think I gave Broward State 10 minutes, even though that's what the whole episode is supposed to be. So we got call to actions. Figure out what y'all can do to try to save your school, whether that make it a charter or become an independent school district. Look into that. Get somebody involved. If you send me a message, I'll try to find the people that could try to help you do that. Make that. Hold your elected officials accountable. Start going to them school board meetings and make them real uncomfortable. Tell it to their face, y'all. Find a way to get to them school board meetings. I think there's a meeting on Tuesday. Go on over there. Try to get it added as an agenda item and go tell them that this is not okay. You know what I mean? And again, I have people who are on both sides of the issue. But for me, it's like elected officials will sit there by the people to do the people's work. Okay. And that's what we need y'all to do. We need y'all to do the people's work. All right. So that part, right? So that part. In terms of the elections, and this person that we got as a president, y'all, please, if you got friends that's in U.S. House District 1, U.S. House District 6, tell them to go vote. Try to send them Democrats over there. They're gonna be some kind of better than what's already here, because those folks they don't care. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good night. And I'll read the comments and respond to them. I'm gonna read the comments and respond to them afterwards, because I can't read them right now because they're a bit long. All righty, y'all. Have a good night. Elections have consequences. Good night.